Hey, welcome back to Even More Mashed Up. We are the pop culture podcast that talks about all things pop culture. I'm Alan.
And I am Patrick, and I'd like to start by offering an apology to our listeners.
Because long overdue.
As the summer is well and truly underway.
It's true.
We've been a little bit slow in terms of getting shows going.
A bit.
And there's a lot that we could talk about.
It's true.
But we couldn't talk about anything else because Alan insisted that we talk about nothing else until we deal with The Flash, which is, of course, the topic for today.
Such a blatant lie. I do have a question for you.
I told you weren't going to like my opening. Alan insisted we will talk about nothing until we have discussed The Flash in depth.
So, less an opening and more a lie.
Yes.
Like the Nazi kind of tell a big lie.
I like to think of it more like Frost Nixon. I'm just sort of, getting to the truth of things with a bit of a fiction.
Definitely more Hitler in this case.
Wow.
And we're off.
Yeah, that seemed
I think
unnecessarily harsh.
This is a film, I think, that raises the issue of post-peak superhero.
Oh, yes.
As a real possibility that perhaps the last 20 years have just been a flash in the pan.
It's just awful.
Well, you're having housework done. I thought you might have a flashing joke.
Why would I have a flashing joke?
The flashing on a house.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Apparently what they're doing to my house today is considered parging.
Parging?
Yes.
Interesting.
Because when one of the places called me, like, oh, I hear you need some parging done. I'm like, that depends. What is that? Because what I said was, I need the stucco replaced on my house.
I feel like it's
the
like
side of my porch.
Grinding up porgs and then applying them to your porch.
That's porging.
Porging. So we're going to talk about The Flash today.
Yes, we are. And you know what I've got?
That's probably the last laugh we're going to have.
Oh no, I think we've got some good laughs coming. Because you know what we've got coming up?
Fun facts.
Flash fun facts. Flash facts. Yes. Because that's what in the old Silver Age comic books they used to have like flash facts. Flash facts.
Flash.
They'd have like some chemical thing that would explain whatever
Flash flags.
Barry was going to do. Flash flags.
Can we just keep
Flash
that?
flags.
Flash flags.
Flash flags. Flash flags. See, we're already laughing.
Yeah, okay, good.
All right, so.
Yeah.
On Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes. Okay, I've not looked.
This was a few days ago.
All right.
The Flash is currently at 66% with critics. 84 with audiences.
84 with audiences?
Well, 66 means certified fresh, so both of those are ridiculously high numbers. Let's just agree there.
But the 84. Okay.
You're going to need to dial down your outrage on the audience reaction.
It's too late. In what world is a 66 fresh?
I think if anything above 60 is fresh.
So if you went to a grocery store and you went down like the produce aisle and like you bought a bag of apples. And 2 out of 3 were fresh. Would you say that was a fresh bag of apples?
Well, you know what they say. Rotten apple spoils the whole bunch. So
right, exactly. It would anyway. It's a preposterously low bar.
Yes.
Number 2, 84. One of us has been known to say on the show that Americans are not very smart people.
Okay, you might want to hold off on that.
It gets worse.
It does get worse.
No,
so,
come on.
Out of the 14 DCEU films,
literally made like $14.
I know. It dropped 75% in week 2. Like that's
so
just
it's 14
awful.
minus 75. It made like $350. You know.
So, not counting Justice League: The Snyder Cut, there have been 14 DCEU films.
I feel bad for Zack Snyder, but okay.
Where do you think The Flash falls in terms of critics' rating among the 14?
On the 66?
Yes.
Well, I feel like there's been some really bad DC movies. So I feel like this is going to be in the middle.
Okay.
Like 7 or 8?
Nope.
Higher?
Yep.
3?
No, it's too high.
4?
Still too high.
5?
Yeah, there you go.
So it's the 5th highest rated DC film.
The only films that are rated higher.
It might be accurate.
What do you want? Do you want to guess what the?
Wonder Woman was higher.
Yes, Wonder Woman's number 1 at 93.
And then the second Wonder Woman.
No, second Wonder Woman is way below it.
Way below.
Or no, it's below. It's below. I think it's somewhere in the low 80s.
All right.
You're probably not going to get any of them. Let me just tell you that right now.
Is it the Batman?
No.
Joker?
No, those are not DCEU films.
Oh,
just the strict,
Suicide Squad.
Which
also
one?
No. If it's the Suicide Squad,
it is the Suicide Squad.
There is
the second one. Is
that's the second one.
Yeah, the second one.
Right. Okay. So Suicide Squad
that's at 90. It's number 4.
That's a 90.
Yes.
Among critics.
No. Yes.
Critics
or overall rating, which I think is just based on critics.
Why does anybody go to critics? They could just listen to us. Be done.
Or sorry, no, Suicide Squad should be third, I think.
Okay. No, it shouldn't be third. It should be last.
Yeah, so.
That was a garbage film.
Yeah, so Wonder Woman's number one. Suicide Squad is, well, technically it's tied with the second best one.
Okay. A Superman film?
Nope.
Batman film?
Nope.
Who am I missing? Oh, the Harley Quinn.
That is the other one, but that's not the one that Suicide Squad is tied with.
Okay.
That's at 79.
That film really holds up nicely.
Does it?
In comparison to the rest of the DC stuff.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I what am I blanking on? Aquaman.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Can't be Aquaman.
It's not Aquaman.
By the way,
Zach is probably shedding a tear right now for the fact that you're not getting what it is.
It's Shazam?
Shazam. Yeah.
I wonder why I forgot Shazam. That never happens, right?
Yeah.
I was sitting over here waiting. He's like, he's got to get it. He's got to get it.
Yeah. Shazam and the Suicide Squad are both at 90. Wonder Woman's 93. Birds of Prey is at 79.
Okay. What's the second Shazam?
Oh, they're all
really
way lower.
What about Black Adam? Didn't do well?
Yeah. So here's the next question, and this is the one that I think is probably gonna hurt you a little bit.
Yeah.
So in terms of audience score,
yeah,
how many DCEU films have a higher rating than Flash? Remember, Flash is at 84.
84?
Yes. How many have a higher rating?
It's going to hurt
audience
me?
Score? Yes.
It better not be none.
It's not none.
Okay, 3.
No.
2.
Yes.
Really?
Now.
There's only 2 films.
Yes.
That audiences liked better than The Flash.
Yes. Can you guess what they are?
Wonder Woman? No.
No.
Wonder Woman? No.
Nope. Nope. I'm going to take out all of your guesses.
Okay.
Right? No.
Shazam.
Which one?
2. Shazam 2.
Correct. That's at 86. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is at 86 with audiences.
Doesn't this make you think that Rotten Tomatoes is just absolute BS?
I should point out,
like, it's completely untrustworthy.
Shazam! Fury of the Gods is not the highest.
Okay.
It's the second highest one.
The Suicide Squad.
No.
Shazam 1?
No.
Birds of Prey.
No.
I have no idea. What is it?
It's Black Adam. With 88%.
Yeah, I was not going to get there.
I told you have to dial back. Your Americans are stupid because they gave Flash in 84, because they gave Black Adam in 88, and the Shazamly in 86. So
yeah. Zach celebrates, but I'm not sure that's the company you want your movie keeping.
Yeah,
not Black Adam, just Shazam.
Just Shazam. Right. Yes. Audience likes Shazam.
One day it'll be done right.
It's important to note that I think the top 3 in terms of audience score have also been like the last 3 absolute train wrecks of films.
Assuming Flash is a train wreck, we haven't talked about it yet.
Oh yeah, sorry, we don't. Yeah, didn't want to tip our hand there.
Spoiler alert! We have not officially established a podcast position yet on the Flash.
Yes.
Can I give you a bonus?
So that's all I've got for fun facts.
Bonus early fair or foul?
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
This comes from a random guy on Google.
Okay,
I always start with random guy on Google.
All of my fair or foul are random people on Twitter.
Okay, excellent.
Because there was some good stuff.
So he only gave it 4 stars out of 5, but this is what he wrote.
He gave it 4 stars out of 5? Jeez.
Fair or foul? A mix between the fun and wonder of Richard Donner's Superman films and Back to the Future.
Oh, God.
The director showed us with it that he knows how to get the character development and emotional weight needed to get the action to matter. He has made lightning strike again.
That is so foul.
Somebody wrote that on the internet and attached their name to it.
Oh, that is so bad. Yeah, no, I don't even understand.
Yeah.
That.
The podcast, I want to make sure I phrase this the right way so as not to offend anybody. Mm-hmm. The podcast is almost always fun for me. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy doing it. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it kind of feels like a job. Mm-hmm. That I don't get paid for.
I'm unclear where it is this fall. It's been a lot of fun.
I had to pay.
Yeah.
I had to pay to go see this film. And I'll be honest, if it weren't for the podcast, I don't think I would have gone.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole host of reasons. It didn't get a lot of great reviews.
James Gunn said it was the best superhero movie ever.
Okay, by
he's an unimpeachable source.
Outside the DCEU.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller brings a bunch of baggage with them.
That seems
to the
insulting
role.
Baggage.
Yeah. DC hasn't made a film I've made or that I've liked in a long time. Like there's just like, when's the last time they made something?
I think it was Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I think it probably was.
And maybe in retrospect, Birds of Prey at this point.
Yeah, but like the Spider-Verse, those movies were great. Mm-hmm. But that kind of is a standout in what's been a long slog of superhero.
Well, that and
movie viewing
and Guardians.
Nope.
And No Way Home.
Nope.
And Wakanda Forever.
Nope. None of those things. But here's the thing. I didn't think this movie was terrible by DC standards.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't, but it's not a good movie.
No.
Okay.
No,
right,
I found myself bored by the film.
So now you know what the last 3 years have been like.
Oh yeah,
for
no,
me. That's every superhero movie I go to. I'm just like, when's it going to end?
Yeah,
Did you do what I do and sigh out loud? At some point, it's like, oh my god.
I think actually I might have at some point.
So you're with me finally.
Oh yeah,
I have finally convinced you.
Oh yeah, this was not. Yeah, I did not. And number one, a lot of it has to do with Ezra Miller, in that even without the baggage, I don't think they are enough to carry this film. And I don't like I was not a big fan of the version of Flash / Barry Allen from Justice League.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who left that film thinking, I need more of that.
Yeah, so
so neither they nor the character he's playing felt that compelling.
Yeah, I want to come...
Which probably explains why they had, Keaton's Batman and Sasha Calle's Supergirl.
Oh, they've done...
all around him because they had to bolster it in some way.
You have to cram nostalgia and something brand new. I agree. I want to come back to the way in which Miller portrays Barry Allen, but when we get to my complaints about the film, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because we should start with the stuff we liked.
Yes, we should.
You know it was number one on my liked list, right?
I'm not sure.
You have to know. There could be only one thing.
Is it the spaghetti?
Okay.
As a metaphor for time travel?
Because the spaghetti.
Okay,
no, the spaghetti is...
We do love our metaphors for time travel on this show.
I've got a list of... Yeah, no, I want to talk about spaghetti.
I do too.
But not now. That's
so, okay.
It's not in my good list.
Is it? Because the other thing that I will give the film credit for doing is they avoided the Baby Barry situation. Remember, in the last time when in the TV show...
Right.
When Flash went to the separate timeline, you raised the question of, like, where's the Barry that was in that timeline, which never gets addressed.
Like a baby Barry just locked away somewhere. Yeah.
So we do get that fixed in that the Barry that was there prior to him is there.
Yeah, but he's a baby.
No, he's not a baby. He's like 18.
Kind of a baby. He acts like a baby.
That's one word for it.
Yeah.
The word I would use rhymes with louche-rag.
Wow.
Because... that's kind of who he is.
Not pulling any punches. Yeah.
So
that's not it. No, the number one thing for me had to be that George Clooney is in the movie.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
George Clooney steps out of the car at the end, and you're like,
such a pointless ending.
Oh, it was like the Mark Wahlberg Planet of the Apes ending.
Yes,
which is the dumbest ending, and they think it like. You could see Wahlberg and whoever directed that movie. They thought it was
Tim Burton. It was Tim Burton that did that movie.
They thought it was so smart, and it was just the dumbest ending I think I've ever seen.
No, I don't know if you've seen, because the ending we got was actually the third ending.
Okay.
Because there were two others that they filmed.
Yeah.
One was the Keaton Batman and Sasha Calle's Supergirl showing up at the end.
Okay.
So I'm like, that would have been good. The other was those two plus Cavill and Gadot showing up. I was like, that would have been fine.
Yeah. I don't need more Gal Gadot in this film. The Gal Gadot that was in this film was not...
Yeah, she's just basically there to...
Because Wonder Woman's in the film.
Because Wonder Woman's the one good thing out of the DCEU.
And even that was tarnishing a bit. So
I
started my Twitter account years ago to stop George Clooney to try to get him to option my book and turn it into a movie.
Yes, but are you suggesting
I did forget that I realized later that he didn't have a Twitter account, which made the Twitter stalking slightly more difficult.
Yeah.
So I did at Stacy Keebler a couple times, hoping I could...
Yeah, that worked out well.
Did not work.
No. Yeah, no, well, I mean, I chuckled when he first showed up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, that seems completely pointless. Like, which is, one of my issues with the film in general. Mm-hmm. Besides the fact, as you've already mentioned, Like it all it's got for it is nostalgia. It's nostalgia for things that are at least 20, if not 50 years old.
Yeah.
Like this is it's
No, it's
like no one wants to see Clooney's Batman again. No one wanted to see it when they did Clooney's Batman.
And I have a bunch of spaghetti questions for you.
Yeah.
But does this mean that Clooney is the new Batman?
I don't know what that's the other thing is. I have no idea.
A different strand of effing spaghetti. I don't know.
Yeah, no. The way I look at it, I'm like okay,
upsetting.
so well, it means a couple things. One is the entire point of the film was Barry learning not to mess with the past.
I just want to point out,
and then
that's on my list of complaints about this movie.
He messes with the past again.
Right after he learns the lesson.
And we wind up with him altering the present yet again in the end. I'm like, okay, so this...
Unless it's a different spaghetti, because the one... That's number 2 on my list of things I liked.
The first thing was George Clooney?
George Clooney.
Okay, what was
because he showed up in it.
Right, gotcha.
I don't think he added anything to the film.
Okay.
It was just Clooney.
Yeah.
The second is that the filmmakers seem to have a slight grasp on the idea that Barry is actually the bad guy. You know from the CW show, my argument has been from the beginning that the Flash is actually the villain.
Yes.
That he's the bad guy in the CW universe.
Correct.
And he is in this universe, too.
Well, one of them is. Actually, maybe they both are.
I feel like they both.
Yeah.
They both are. Like, they both go into that weird, like, time stadium kind of thing.
The Chrono Bowl, I believe is what it's called.
Now, look. Longtime listeners will know that I don't particularly go for time travel in alternate strands of spaghetti.
They might have picked up on that.
In my pop culture. But this was, you will have to admit, one of the dumbest depictions of what running through time might look like.
Well, a less generous person
Yes.
than myself might think.
If only that person were here.
It's almost like
Yeah.
they had to come up with something that's different from all the other time travel things.
Yeah.
So they came up with the Chrono Bowl, which apparently has a big thing of sand in the middle of it.
Yeah, I
that
guess.
you sink it. Yeah, it literally, I'm like, well, this feels like something they're like, well, we can't do branching.
Right.
So we have to do something else. Yeah. So let's make it circular. Right. I'm like, I don't understand. Yeah, no, the Chrono Bowl.
Dumb.
The Chrono Bowl was stupid.
So I've given you 2 things I liked.
Yes.
George Clooney and The Flash is a bad guy.
Okay.
What do you got?
So besides the Baby Barry thing, which I give them credit for.
Okay.
Such
a low bar.
I did like the spaghetti.
No, you did not.
I did because
you knew you were going to come sit here and give me that grin.
No,
there's
another
grin
reason
that
too.
you're giving me right now.
No,
because you knew how much it would irritate me.
No,
that's
because of course we do need to talk about how the spaghetti metaphor ranks in comparison to the others that we have discussed.
Yes, for sure.
However,
yes,
I also like the spaghetti on a meta level.
Okay.
Because it captures just how much of a mess the DCU EU is. Kind of like, that is an apt metaphor. This film universe is a plate of spaghetti, which, by the way, there's no meatballs in the spaghetti, and there was no sauce. It's literally just noodles that Bruce is fixing.
Well,
that's a very disappointing bowl of spaghetti.
He's been living by himself for a long time. He's probably developed a lot of weird bachelor habits.
I guess. So... But yeah, I liked it on that sort of like that sums
as
up
a metaphor.
This movie and the DCEU. It's a complete mess.
I will give it to you, but I do have a series of comic book questions for you later in these notes, and maybe we could leave the spaghetti.
We can
to that point. If that would be okay with you, because we're definitely coming back to the spaghetti.
Yeah, and then the third thing that I liked, was I did like, even though I don't like what they did with her.
Yes,
I do like Sasha Calle's version of Supergirl. She's not in the film enough, and that they basically made one of their, and I can't remember their term for it. I'm just calling it canon events because how Spider-Verse referred to it stuck in my mind much more. The fact they made her fridging a canon event is also pretty typical of the DCEU.
Yeah.
But I did what little bit we saw of her in the role, I liked.
She's on a different list for me because I felt like there was potential in that character.
I think,
but it was unrealized potential. So even that's not really high praise.
But that's the end of my good.
Okay.
You had 4 good.
I got 2 more for you.
All right.
I don't remember any of the songs. I felt like the soundtrack wasn't terrible.
Yes, for being completely unmemorable. It's a great soundtrack.
Besides that, there were like 2 or 3 moments I thought were almost funny.
Okay.
And that was 2 or 3 moments more than I saw in the trailer.
Such as?
I liked
Yeah, or is this another thing
Well,
where it's just like the soundtrack? You're like, I remember nothing,
No.
but the soundtrack's good.
I
I
like-
remember nothing, but there were funny moments.
I like the one where he's about to take off running right at the beginning, and the Flash title card comes across the screen, and then his fans scream at him, and they have to stop the movie, and then he runs away. I also like the way he posed every time he started to run.
I hate the way
Yeah.
they do the running.
Yeah.
Since Justice League, I don't. Nobody runs like that.
Yeah,
It's weird.
Would you agree with me then? What we need is a superhero movie moratorium. We just take a pause for, I'm going to say,
Yes.
2 years.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if we need a complete moratorium.
Yeah.
But we need to slow down to where there are not 8 coming out in a year.
Right.
2, maybe 3.
I don't think you know what
be
moratorium means. Because I said moratorium, and you're like, yes. And then you're
Well,
like,
I
only
meant
2 or 3 a year.
I said not a complete moratorium. Maybe
so a moratorium that's not a moratorium is what you're talking
maybe
about.
Maybe the body's just
Yeah.
getting cold. It's not quite dead yet.
Got it. All right. So,
But
beyond that, I have a lot of complaints and some questions for you.
All right.
Can we start with the Keaton Batman?
Sure.
I just found his character completely unconvincing because he was in part impossible to follow. Mm-hmm. So they show up to meet him at the Bat Mansion.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm not going to help you. Mm-hmm. But we know he's going to help.
Correct.
And he changes his mind almost immediately without a lot of convincing. Mm-hmm. But then he says, I will help you, but only find Superman. After that, I'm done. Mm-hmm. But we all know that also is not true. And in fact, he reverses that then immediately after that. Mm-hmm. So he decides to do more. When we get to the Russian jail and they're rescuing Kara, he's with them one moment, then he just disappears.
Batman does that. Batman does just disappear on his allies.
But in a battle like that, it seems like that's not tactically sound to me. He doesn't whisper a plan to them. He just disappears.
Well, no, because he's the strategist, so he doesn't need to share the strategy.
Well, usually strategy works better if everybody knows what the strategy is.
It does.
I'm just saying.
But, I mean, would you really trust either of the Barrys with a strategy? Neither of them are particularly reliable.
It's true, but without one, they're completely unreliable.
I'm not sure they're that much more unreliable than
At least the Barry who was on the wrong strand of spaghetti, all of a sudden, he was a mature dude. I think you could have trusted him with it.
Yeah. Also, the fact that the parents couldn't recognize their own son 5 years older, and not at all like their actual son. I was like, I think it's like he looks a little older around the eyes. Yes, and everywhere else.
Pretty much how parenting works. Yeah, but he leaves them only because he needs to show up dramatically. Mm-hmm. And then, how does he know how time works? How is it that like they sit down at the table and he's the guy and he's like, well, you don't understand how time works. Let me get 2 pieces of spaghetti.
Well, no, it was a whole bowl of spaghetti. Oh no, the
he was using
spaghetti.
The stiff spaghetti.
Yes, the uncooked spaghetti. Correct.
Uncooked is better than stiff, probably. It's a technical term.
Yeah,
the
uncooked.
The uncooked
or
spaghetti.
Raw, that would work too.
Right, but why is it that he knows? Well, the only reason is for all the other stuff I described about Batman is because we need him to explain it to the audience.
Yes.
Right?
Or
that's the only reason.
Because the plot demands it.
I think that's the same way.
Yeah.
It's a different way of saying the same thing.
The writing is not
essentially. I thought it was.
Yeah, the writing in this because there are other moments too.
I have some serious writing complaints.
Like when the Barrys are trapped in the police department, and Barry 1 is completely powerless, and Barry 2 doesn't know how to use his powers.
Yeah.
And we literally see the police closing in on them.
Yeah.
And then the next scene, they're at home, and I'm like, how did they get out? Are we just we're just skipping over that because of course we have to because they have to get out, so they're going to get out.
Yeah.
But we don't actually have to see that.
Right. Or another plot moment, a plot hole that bothered me. Did he just happen to be making spaghetti? The one thing he needs to explain time is the one thing he's making.
To be fair.
I'm not going to be fair. I refuse to be fair. This film stole 2.5 hours of my life.
Maybe it's not
that
so
was
much
unfair.
that...
If you want to talk about unfairness, sir.
It's not so much that the spaghetti was there for the purpose of explaining time travel. It's just that when he found himself having to explain time travel, he had the spaghetti there and it worked.
It's a good thing he wasn't making tacos.
I would much have preferred a Chrono taco.
A Chrono taco?
than the Chrono bowl.
You and I could sit down in the 15 minutes after the show ends, and we could storyboard a better DC movie.
Or would it be a Chrono Burrito?
A Chrono Burrito?
Chronorito.
A Chrono... I want to make it into a chimichanga.
A Chronochunga?
That's not bad. Like we'd have ideas.
Or a Crunch Wrap Supreme.
Or a Chimitrungo.
A Crunch Wrap Supreme.
Ooh, there you go. That's good.
That's
right.
good. Maybe we need to take it more to the Taco Bell realm.
Exactly. Run for the border of the multiverse.
So, which is better? Spaghetti? A piece of paper with a pencil shoved through it dramatically? A teacup?
Coffee cup.
Shattered?
I don't know, because I literally had that question for you.
Yeah. I'll answer it. They're all garbage.
None of them?
None of them are useful. None of them are useful. And the idea of the spaghetti, it just makes me angry every time I think about it.
Yeah, well, and it feels like, again, because they take their shot at Endgame when he says something like, well, you might have heard that, time travel's like this.
Yeah.
And but it's totally different. I'm like, okay, so you're a totally different version of, something happens that causes a timeline to branch off.
Right.
Is something happens that causes a timeline to branch off and also create a new past for that new timeline.
Right.
Like, it's not that revolutionary
No.
A concept. As it's basically, it just creates a wholly formed new timeline with a totally different past.
Right.
As opposed to just the new timeline continuing on from the previous past.
Which maybe makes Barry not such a monster. Sure, he doomed an entire planet to Zod's destruction, but they wouldn't have had lives at all had he not created that new strand of spaghetti.
No, that is true.
And in fact, that new strand of spaghetti stretches so far into the past that he opened up whole happy lives for people who wouldn't have had them otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Billions of lives.
Yeah.
Literally.
We may, Cyborg may never become Cyborg. He might just be a high school football player.
That's right.
Aquaman was never born.
That's kind of a win, actually. Like you want to start tallying up what's good and what's bad in a universe.
I'm trying to think who else. Because Arthur Curry wasn't born.
Yeah.
Cyborg hadn't become Cyborg yet, which makes sense because depending on which, because apparently Cyborg both existed before and not until the night Doomsday was created. So
yeah. It's
more
a
continuity
strange
here. So
on the Keaton Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Were you a fan? Were you happy to see him there? What's your take?
No, well, that feeds into one of my fair or fouls that I've got.
Okay.
In that, let me.
Do you want to drop it now, or do you want to say?
Actually, it's not quite the fair or foul. It leads into the fair or foul. So here's the thing.
Okay.
Obviously, the big thing for the film was we're getting the Keaton 1989, 1992 Batman back.
Right.
But we're not, because it's not like they went to the Tim Burton universe.
Right.
It's, basically Michael Keaton.
We got Michael Keaton
in a
back.
Batman costume in a completely different timeline. So it felt very kind of he felt like a cardboard cutout to me.
So to me, I think it works.
It seemed kind of empty to me.
It works for people who aren't. It might work better for people who aren't as deeply immersed in it as you are.
I guess.
And for them, it's just Keaton is back.
Yeah,
but I don't even Batman. But for you, you remember an entire universe built around.
Well, but that's the other thing too.
Batman.
Is the whole point of the multiverse is to go to these completely different worlds.
Right.
The world that they're in with Keaton's Batman is not really any different from the world they were in.
Oh, not at all.
So it's everything's the same, except it's just here it's a Michael Keaton Batman.
Well, that's because you've been raised on MCU visions of multiverses.
Not just MCU. I've been raised on a lot of multiverses.
Complicated and diverse.
But so is the DC. The DC comic universe is also.
What this movie's telling you is that you don't understand how it works. It's all very simple.
And in
all
typical...
it's like a color form. You can take the color form from one page, peel it off, put it on the next page.
Don't ruin color forms for me, dude.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
It feels like you're ruining color forms.
I didn't mean to, but it feels like they are treating him like a color form.
Yeah, no, he felt like a card. It basically it's Michael.
Symbol that can be moved from place to
Michael
place.
Keaton in a Batman suit.
Yeah.
Spouting a couple of lines from the movie, like the whole "you want to go nuts" thing. Which
I gotta be honest. That kind of stuff drives me nuts. I am so uninterested in that. It's just pandering nostalgia.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
it's just pandering, and
yes. So that does lead into my Twitter, my fair or foul.
Okay.
From @BrianLongFilms on Twitter.
Long films.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Flash is like a nostalgia bait movie for nostalgia that absolutely nobody has.
That based on what you just said, that seems
It's
relatively
kind,
fair,
well,
right? That unless your nostalgia is for the actor and not the character,
yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah,
You know, I think
like
for some
there's
people it was just Keaton.
there's
And
nothing
I'm not defending it. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's the only way that it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
For me, it was way too much nostalgia being shoved down my throat.
If I were to give the movie credit for one other thing,
Oh, look at that! More praise.
there's that moment where, like, I think Keaton's Batman says something about, like, their Gotham has turned into, like, a complete paradise and, like, everything's good.
Yeah.
I did like, not that they did anything with it, but I do like the idea that in that kind of a Gotham, Bruce is completely depressed and purposeless because he needs Gotham to be the way it is.
That's a nice little joke.
Which is right?
So
yeah. I kind of like that. I was like, okay, so he literally has nothing to do here, and so he's profoundly depressed.
If DC meant that as a commentary on vigilantism, and the psychoses that come with it, then I would be more excited about that point. I think.
But yeah, no, like it felt like window dressing. Like it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna get the Keaton Batman, but yeah.
I bet Ben Affleck didn't feel like window dressing.
Pretty much everything in this film felt like window dressing.
Yeah.
By the way, were you confused by the appearance of Iris West?
Why should I have been confused?
Well, because she only shows up in the Snyder Cut. She's not in the original Justice League.
Yeah, she just didn't get.
And their whole relationship emerges from the Snyder Cut.
That's awesome. So
and
they're
like,
building it off of something that
that a much smaller number of people have seen
and doesn't officially exist, right?
Yeah,
that's perfect.
Again,
can I tell you my biggest
the mess of
complaint
spaghetti
with the Affleck?
Oh, okay. I was like, we haven't gotten to your biggest complaint about this film yet.
Oh no,
the Affleck.
Oh no. There's lots to complain about with Affleck.
Uh-huh.
But when he's on his motorcycle chasing the bio-terrorists, and they pull out their guns and they start shooting at him, shields pop up on his motorcycle.
Yes.
And there's one to the right, and there's one to the left, and there is nothing straight down the middle at his face.
Correct.
Why would you build shields that protect where you're not?
Because you have to be able to see to steer the bike.
So then you don't need to shield.
Sure you do, because
to deflect the shots that are missing.
What you're not understanding.
It's just the dumbest thing.
You're not understanding the physics of it. He has anticipated that the bad guys in the van in front of him, when they lean out the window, they're not going to be able to get a dead-on center shot.
Right.
Their shots are always going to be at an angle to the side, so you protect the sides.
I don't think so.
It's all physics, man.
His headshot is right there.
He's just anticipating.
The whole time. Can I give you another such problem that drove me nuts with Barry? So there's the scene early on where Iris...
When he put the baby in the microwave?
Well, I've got questions to ask you about that as well. No, this is when early in the film, Iris, she's kind of like tried to be a reporter with him, but then she shows up at his apartment later that night, and she just wants to be his friend.
Yes.
I think.
That was one of the 2 times I left the movie to go to the bathroom, so I did not see the entirety of that conversation.
Okay, so early on...
Which should give you a sense of how unengaged in this film I was, is that I went to the bathroom twice during it.
I wish I had to go more often during this film.
And unlike other films, when I go and see it a second time to see the parts I missed, I've not seen this a second time.
If I could go back in time like Barry did, I would go back and I would buy myself the largest possible Coke as I went into the theater, just so I would have to leave to use the bathroom as often as possible. So maybe you missed this then, but Iris comes to visit him, and they're talking outside, and she says, let's get a drink. Now, why anybody would want to get a drink with Barry, beyond me, but let's put that aside for a minute. Barry runs at super speed into his apartment to clean things up.
Yes.
He then opens the door for Iris, who's completely undisturbed. Barry was standing next to her 1 minute. He has now completely disappeared, shown up on the other side of a door that he's now opening, and Iris is just like, well, this is normal.
That's fairly giant plot.
Stuff like that. It was tiny stuff like this that just kept building and building and building until there was so much frustration in this film.
Yeah. So the writer of the film, Christina Hodson.
Yes.
She's previously written 3 other films.
Okay.
One of them is the Batgirl film that got canceled.
Well, it makes you feel a little bit better about that.
The other was Birds of Prey.
Oh.
And the third film
was
the Bumblebee movie.
That's a pretty good movie.
I know. Like, she can do... Yeah, like...
So something's gone wrong.
Well, I mean, this movie...
I think it's what she inherited.
Yeah, she inherited.
It's more the material than it is the... But, like, that kind of stuff where he's on one side of the door and then the other, and normal people who don't know he's the Flash are just like, oh, that's normal.
Yeah, that's totally normal. He was here, then he was in...
And then now he's opening the door. Yeah. I have...
Yeah. It's possible a canny reporter might have put two and two together and thought, hey, you're Batman.
Right. Or just asked a couple of questions.
Like, hey, how did you do that?
How is this happening? Yeah. So, the baby in a microwave, and poor Zach, like, who's listening to this out of context, he must be thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Like, how does a movie get a baby into a microwave?
The opening sequence is Batman, Flash, and then eventually Wonder Woman having to deal with a terrorist attack on a hospital. And as Batman's chasing the terrorists, Flash is dealing with the hospital that is collapsing. And so a whole bunch of babies in the NICU are, like, 12 of them fall out of a window.
But luckily, it's only the 12 babies and one nurse on the top floor of the hospital. So it's only 12 babies and one nurse.
And so as the babies
totally
are falling,
sense, right?
he's like putting one in a microwave to keep it safe and then like getting them all lined up so he can catch them at the bottom.
When you guys said two Barrys and different Batmans, I was like, I'm not. You lost it.
Yeah, no, we have done you a tremendous favor. Do you have to sit with us for an hour today?
Yeah.
Yeah, but on the cosmic scale of things.
I assumed the sitting with us was the tremendous favor. What's the tremendous favor?
No, even as difficult as it is to sit with us for an hour. Sitting with the Flash for 2.5. Much worse. So that does raise a series of comic book questions I have for you.
Okay.
And I know that you love answering.
I do love them.
Comic book science questions.
I do. I feel like this movie might defy my ability to answer
So let's start with the microwave.
Yes.
Because he not only puts a baby in the microwave to protect it, he also microwaves a burrito because he needs to eat.
Yes, but he does that before.
Energy. Okay. But this is while everything, Zach, is falling, right?
Oh, how is the microwave plugged in?
Thank you.
Is that your question?
I'm like, did he charge it with his own kinetic power?
Extension cord.
No, go back and watch the film again. There's no extension cord.
Please don't make me go back and watch the film.
It's a free-floating microwave in which he can nuke a burrito.
That's a very good point.
But he feels perfectly comfortable putting a baby in as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure.
So explain the science to me. How does the microwave run without an extension cord? Because that's not science. That's just making stuff up.
It's a solar-powered microwave.
All right. So I've stumped you on one. Let me stump you on two then.
You didn't stump me on the first one. Solar-powered microwave.
Yeah, you're just making stuff up.
Yeah.
Question number 2.
Is it it's a mother box microwave?
That's a really deep dive.
It is.
Yeah. So comic book science question number 2. When Barry runs really fast, his clothes catch on fire.
Yes.
But when he
normal clothes.
Right, but when he runs really fast, carrying other people wearing normal clothes, their clothes are fine. And in fact, a baby's skin can apparently deal with that level of friction too. That's not an answer. That's just nodding along. Why is it that his clothes burn, but nobody else burns?
Well, but the baby's skin is new, so I'm clearly that offers like a greater level of protection.
I don't think you understand baby skin science at all.
The soft baby skin it causes less friction.
It seems like the soft baby skin would be more
more
vulnerable.
Babies are like Teflon.
How many babies have you been around?
Not many.
I think that's good for babies.
Yeah, not many.
Generally speaking. All right.
Yeah.
So 2 questions and 2 whiffs.
I mean, no. Okay, I didn't whiff the first one. Solar powered microwave. Second one, clearly,
yes.
People in the DCEU are made of sterner stuff than your typical humans.
But not Flash.
It's just clothes. Yeah, the clothes. I'm talking about the people.
So why is he wearing what? So they wear sterner clothes?
Well, that's even. Well, he's aged, so his skin is not as frictionless as it was when he was a baby.
Then that would also be
now.
But he carries adults too.
Oh, you know what he needs? He needs a flash suit made of baby skin.
Oh,
that would be the fastest, most aerodynamic.
But that also.
So
means...
I want to be clear. I'm sorry, Zach. Go ahead.
But that also means then that like Barry's clothes must be like tearaway clothes that he's getting at like Old Navy or something for like $2.
Unstable molecules.
Yeah.
Can I say unstable molecules?
No, but you have said in the last minute that babies are made of Teflon and that the Flash should make his costume kind of like Hannibal Lecter would, out of baby skin.
I'm just saying.
All right.
Hey, listen, this is just where the science of the Flash movie has taken me. You can't blame me. I'm just building off the universe.
All right. So the third comic book question isn't science, but it's more of a comic book universe building question.
Okay.
By the time you get to the end of this film,
Oh, Jesus.
I know it's a long. I'm sorry to have made you relive that all in your brain. Is the ending a good place to start building a new DC movie universe from?
When you say the ending, what are we talking about as the ending?
I'm talking about George Clooney getting out of the car, and I don't know. I don't want to talk about the Aquaman stuff at the end yet.
Yeah.
But like that's where we're at, right? Like, so
No.
does the next DC universe then just switch back to the old strand of spaghetti? Or are they going to do a third strand of spaghetti?
I'm assuming they're doing either a third strand of spaghetti or a whole new bowl of spaghetti.
Wait, there's more than one bowl of spaghetti?
Well, yeah.
I thought there were lots of strands of spaghetti.
No,
but one bowl.
no, because
All the strands are in one bowl. Now
No,
you're
no.
telling me there's multiple bowls?
well, because remember
And
at the end when
spaghettis?
we see the multiverse,
Yeah.
you've got the Batman 66 is its own ball.
Oh, can I
You've got
complain about that?
You've got well, I'm sure you will. The Nick Cage, as will I. The Nick Cage world is its own ball.
Yeah.
So each of those balls
Yes.
contained their own spaghetti.
No, they can't.
Yeah, they can.
No, they can't.
They're totally separate.
No, because their spaghetti has
No, no,
to
no.
have all the other balls
No,
on it.
no, because
Yes,
no.
because you can't have a piece of spaghetti with just all the different Batman
Sure you can,
66s.
because that's-
you need a
that's-
piece of spaghetti that's got all of them on there.
No, but that's not what we have.
Because it
Because
was
what
bad when they mixed.
Exactly. That's why you can't. They have the ball. Each of the balls is its own mess of spaghetti.
No, but the balls were just, they were like monochromatic. They were
Yes.
just Batman 66.
That's my
How
point.
can
They were
there be-
just
but
that
they-
they're all of the different universes that could exist based on Batman
in the
66.
Batman 66 ball,
Yes.
there's a whole bunch of other superheroes as well. We only saw the Batman 66 in the
There's
ball.
whatever bowls of spaghetti have been created from the
Those
Batman
aren't
60
bowls.
universe
Those aren't bowls,
exist
they're
within
balls.
that ball.
You do not know the difference between bowls and balls.
No, within
Do you-
no.
Can you define what a bowl is and what a ball is?
Yes.
Because I'm
There's
talking
the-
about bowls and you're talking about balls.
There's the ball
Right.
within which is the spaghetti
Right.
that you travel in the bowl.
So the
to get
ball
to.
is the bowl?
The ball contains the bowl and the spaghetti.
So the ball is the bowl. It's like a bowl that's a closed ecosystem.
Yes.
It's like two bowls put together.
No, it's like no, because you see the two balls smashing into each other, and that's bad.
Well, I know that's bad.
So-
right. So is this a good place to start? No. Like,
No.
It's not, right? There's nothing in this film that makes you think, I want to see more Ezra Miller as
No.
Flash. That, like, or
Well, and
any part of this.
there's nothing in this film that makes me think there's any intent to build off it. Because you've got the George Clooney, which is a dead end.
One would hope.
And then every other thing that they represent as part of the multiverse is also a dead end. Like, we're not doing anything with the Reeves and Slater Superman, the Donner Superman. We're not doing anything with Nick Cage. We're not doing anything with Batman 66. They're not doing anything with George Reeves, for crying out loud.
Right.
Like, there's nothing generative of more stories in this. It is,
but you
it
know
is
what?
clearly
It's-
closing the door on
It's
things.
just meant to be really neat.
And it's not.
And it's not.
It's not.
Like, that's the problem. Like, if you're swinging for
Yeah.
neat, you better get...
No.
So,
it was, again, going back to my original quote.
Yeah.
Like, it's nostalgia for stuff that, like, number one, I wouldn't have done this.
right.
But if I were doing this,
Yeah.
and I was going to have the multiverse represented,
Right. Okay.
I might have done, I don't know, anything that they've done in the last 10 years,
Right.
as opposed to stuff that's more than 50 years old.
Yeah. But
Like-
Adam West was in the movie? Well, I mean, not really. But
Not really.
Like, in this pretend kind of way.
Yeah, like I was just like, what is the point of, like, you're not going to do anything with the Christopher Reeves, I
Yeah.
hope.
Well, so that gets me to my next round of complaints, which
Yes.
was CGI-based stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Christopher Reeves, obviously, for anybody who's a superhero film
Mm-hmm.
fan, like, he resonates in a way. Like, people, I think of those films
Oh, yeah.
very fondly.
Yes.
Right? And kind of what they
The first
did.
Superman is still really up there in terms of,
Yeah.
like, my superhero films.
As it should be. And it is for me, in part, because I saw it when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
You know? And it just, like, as a little
And I
kid,
really
you're
like Superman 2 as well.
Yeah.
The rest of the Superman films kind of go off the rails there.
as
But
superhero films tend probably to do. So, like, seeing Christopher Reeves, like, for a moment it seemed cool.
Yeah.
But then it was like, it was so obviously a faked
yeah.
image of Christopher Reeve.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, it really left me with, like, a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it
I
felt
did not.
It felt exploitive.
Well, and
of
I mean,
Adam West.
the thing
and
that's really
Christopher
gotten
Reeves
people
and
upset
Helen
was
Slater,
the use of George Reeves.
who didn't get any kind of credit.
and who also, killed himself because of, and actually I think
Yeah. Oh.
the film came out on the anniversary of either his birth or when he killed himself.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was his birthday.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he killed himself feeling like he was never going to get away from the Superman role. And then
They're like, guess what? You never did.
yeah, and it was kind of, there was a
crass, right?
grossness to
Yeah.
to pretty much everything that they
most-
did in that
like,
in that bit.
The one that wasn't gross to me was Nick Cage, just because
Right.
Nick Cage is so weird. You know?
Yeah, but even then I'm
but
like-
he wasn't as gross, I don't think, as Christopher Reeve.
Yes.
Christopher Reeves and George Reeves. You know,
Correct.
like that to me, those are
Oh yeah,
those
were bad.
and they clearly weren't meant to be, right? They were, I think, when they made the film, they must have been thinking they were doing an homage or like an
I
appreciation.
guess, but
like,
it's
like you,
Yeah.
it totally rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah,
I
it
was
rubbed me
like,
the wrong way.
It was
It's-
gratuitous.
Yeah.
It was gross. And we're going to argue about bowls versus balls for a long time
Yeah.
now as a result.
Like,
Which
yeah,
is a
it's just-
stupid argument to have.
yeah, particularly given that the bowls are in the balls.
Stupid is as stupid does.
Yeah, but yeah,
That's
no,
gonna
like
be
I just sat there and I'm like, this is great. What struck me is I'm like, yes, all of that nostalgia was clearly meant for someone of our age,
Right.
and even I'm sitting there and I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't
Dude,
working for me.
If it didn't land for you,
Exactly.
it's a disaster.
Like
it's
why?
a disaster.
Like why wouldn't you have done? They probably didn't want to piss off Nolan, but why wouldn't you have done the Nolan verse?
Right.
As one of them.
Yeah.
Like something like more like I think everything is pre-21st century that they showed. I'm like,
yeah.
the people watching these films don't know who any of these things are.
It was offensive and dumb. And
Yeah,
offensive
it was
and dumb.
it was really bad.
And then it
So,
was
yeah,
almost
that
like
was-
they did all of the CGI on a CW budget.
Oh yeah,
I mean, just
it was really. I mean,
the way Barry starts to run, the way Barry runs.
I hate the way Barry runs.
It's they think that like that baby scene with the 12 babies and a nurse in a microwave is revolutionary. I'm like, I watched Quicksilver do that how many years
Well,
ago?
I mean, the thing- it's-
it's
it's-
like
it's
oh,
the-
are you going to
it's-
do it in slow motion
it's
and
again-
have him do funny things?
It's
in
again,
between?
it's again the final kind of like nail in the coffin, or that's not the right metaphor, but it's like we still can't get away from the Zack Snyder aesthetic, which is they could have cut so much out of the film
yeah.
if they just that the whole thing with the babies went on way too long.
Yeah, because it's not interesting anymore.
Like it's not, yeah, like we've seen it. Like
right. When
like,
Quicksilver did it
show
for the
me-
first time, you were like,
We've seen it with Barry, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me something new with super speed.
Yeah.
Like
No.
the whole everything slows down from the perspective of the speedster. I'm like, yes, we've seen that.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of times.
and it's not visually interesting when we've
No.
seen it so many times.
No.
It's just repeating what's
Yeah.
been done for coming up on 20 years.
long time now.
A long time.
Yeah, it's been a long. Yeah, just not.
That the final battle was conveniently in a desert was just obviously such a
Here's another thing that
cost
really
saving
kind of bothered me.
Yeah.
So if I understand it correctly,
Yeah.
when second Barry becomes like the Dark Flash,
Yeah.
he has like shrapnel
Right.
embedded into him.
Right.
How is that not hurting? Like he uses that one that's in his forearm as a weapon. I'm like,
Yeah.
you've literally got a piece of Kryptonian shrapnel
well, can I-
sticking out of your arm, and you're using it as a weapon.
Can I give you a comic book science answer?
Mm-hmm.
He's solar powered.
No, I don't think that's it. They did make something. I missed it, but I didn't catch the whole thing. But he said something about like, "Oh, it's phased into you," and I'm like, "Well, that makes no sense whatsoever."
It makes right. I agreed. Which might be a good time to kind of talk about Barry.
Yeah,
I mean, we have to at some point.
I guess.
So, first, your complaint that you raised earlier was my number one complaint. He travels in time to save his mom, learns this is a huge mistake.
Yeah,
He learns this massive lesson, and then as he leaves his effort to right the timeline, he messes with it again.
Yep.
It just, I can't.
Yeah.
And so, again, we talked about it. Does he create a new strand of spaghetti?
I don't know what he does.
Is it, this one just
don't know.
turns out to be happy in every way, except that Ben Affleck doesn't
It reminds
exist
me
anymore?
of the Simpsons Halloween episode
Okay.
where Homer invents a time travel machine out of a toaster,
I vaguely remember
and he
that.
goes to like a whole
Yeah.
bunch of worlds. And he keeps ending up in like the wrong one. And then he gets to the very last one where everything seems normal. Like he asks who's the president, all that stuff,
Yeah.
and it's fine. They sit down to breakfast, and then they all have lizard tongues.
Oh, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
he's like, close enough. And I'm like, that's kind of where I think Barry is.
Right.
He's like, you know what? It seems like the only thing that's different is, it's George Clooney instead of Ben Affleck.
It's-
Everything else seems like how I want it to be. So close enough.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And also, if it
Yes.
means that this version of Barry is now shunted off into a universe that we are never going to see again, I'm perfectly fine with that too.
People in DC have said they can't imagine doing the Flash without Ezra Miller.
I don't understand like that. The fact that Ezra Miller is the one person they imagine they can preserve from this universe. I'm
Right.
like,
It just-
really?
Yeah.
Not Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
Like
so,
that's you're not going to preserve her
so
as Wonder Woman. You're
Can
going
I-
to save Ezra
Yeah.
Miller.
yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Right. Which brings me back to complaint number 2 about Barry Allen, which there's no character growth. Like there's no arc.
If anything,
for
he
him.
seems because there were a couple times where it seemed like they were kind of playing him as kind of on the spectrum.
That's my next complaint.
Which I was like, that's not how he was earlier. So he literally kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I want to come to that in a
Yeah.
minute. But to get there, I think this is like a recurring problem in superhero films and maybe franchises more generally.
MCU
It's-
sign.
They see the need for character development.
Yes.
But it only happens inside a film and not from film to film. Like so Barry does kind of grow, but then because he's immature, unreliable Barry, but then when he goes on to the next strand of spaghetti and Barry 2 is super unreliable, all of a sudden he becomes kind of more mature and more reliable and more, confident as a leader and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then when he goes back to the original strand of spaghetti, he goes back to where he started. So you see character growth, but it's fake character growth because they don't really want anything to change from movie
Well,
to
it's
movie.
like
you can change within the movie, but not between movies.
It's the John Byrne rule of comic books, which
Yeah.
Burns sort of whole idea is
You're
that
a big Byrne fan, correct?
Yeah, no. His whole idea is that, you shouldn't do anything to fundamentally change the characters. The characters should always remain who they are.
Right.
Despite the fact that, he's the one that, wiped out the Vision's memory and made him white. Like, he always changes things fundamentally and then leaves before he can put them back. But
Yeah.
it's that idea of, the characters have sort of a essential way that they're supposed to be that should not be changed.
And it doesn't work in these movies, I don't think. Because you know that he's going to grow, but you know he's not really.
Yeah.
Like it happens over and over again. And that makes Barry Allen, complaint number 3, super annoying.
Yeah, I've never liked
Actually,
this version of
yeah,
Barry.
both Barry Allens are
Yes.
super annoying. They would be, in a crisis in particular, the worst people to be around. Like the world's about to end and Barry 2 is just zipping around the Batcave.
Yeah.
You're like, come on. So Barry is Barry 1 is super awkward at the start.
Yes.
Then he grows up to be a real leader in the Spaghettiverse. Then he reverts back to super awkward. Is he supposed to be on the spectrum? Because
I
I've
don't
seen
know.
people speculating.
There was I can't remember.
Perhaps he has Asperger's or something like
There
that.
was
Is
there
an
was
explanation
one
for it.
line, I can't remember who he was talking to. If he was talking to Iris or someone that he was talking to in this film,
Yeah.
where he said something about like, and he talked about and what's interesting is in Justice League he talked about it as well about he doesn't really understand people like what's
Right.
brunch, but it was always because of his powers that he
Right.
doesn't really understand people.
Right, yeah.
In this film, there was something I can't remember the line. He said something to
Yeah.
someone about like, I'm not really good with people, or
Yeah.
I don't really work well with people, or something like that. He said something that really struck me as like, oh, I think they mean for him to be on the spectrum in some ways.
And the way he plays it when he's in the like the Starbucks or the coffee shop at the beginning is it resonates in that way.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
And if so, I think it's even worse. Like it's super troubling to me that he could just kind of turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
When he needs to.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what he does in this film.
Or
right?
that the writers will turn it on and turn it off when they need to, which means they're
Right.
not really doing anything
right. Like what good is
substantive with it. Yeah.
Right. It's this kind of superficial. It
becomes a tick.
Right. Superficial representation in the film, which I think is actually destructive to what representation ought to be achieving.
Yeah.
And that just really,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it seemed, it just seemed like the kind of thing like they clearly, because it doesn't come up consistently in the film. It feels like something that popped up in rewrites, or that they realized at a couple of points that they could do, and so they did it in that moment, but not anything that they did consistently.
It's super cheap.
So,
it's just like super cheap storytelling, I think.
It was just kind of weird. I'm like, oh, so is he all of a sudden on the spectrum because we've not had that indicated really at any point.
And how would you know? Because sometimes he is and sometimes he isn't in the course of this film.
Yeah.
So, which brings me to my final Barry complaint, which I thought would be your biggest complaint. Because this movie has a definite Martha moment in it, right?
What was the Martha moment?
When his mom says, Barry, like there's some problems.
Oh God!
That
5
you
minutes
just
into the
can't
film,
solve, and you're like,
well, there's the moral. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, I'm done.
You know what I thought about when she said that?
Martha?
You? No, because I'm like, I said, in my brain, if Patrick were sitting next to me, he'd be like, there's the moral.
There is the
And
moral.
it was just like, punching
it was.
you in the
Yeah, it was
face
so.
with the moral.
I'm
It
like,
was just,
oh, thank you. Mom's the moral center.
It was so obvious.
It was.
And then when they come back to his realization of that, which he doesn't really realize because he still tries to solve it anyway.
Yeah.
They actually flash back to it as if we needed to see it again.
Yeah, we need to see that
like,
again.
Like, were there people in the theater that were like, oh, that's right.
Yeah. Well, it's
his mom said
yeah,
that.
it is very the heavy-handedness is very the
Martha-esque,
the Martha
right?
Yeah, the Martha. We not only get the Martha moment, but then we get the flashback to the opening scene,
right?
Which then, of course, explains like, oh, that's why we spent like 20 minutes of the opening of the movie on Martha's death and the husband saying Martha.
Right. And by the way, if the husband doesn't go to get the tomatoes, maybe they both get killed by whoever broke into the house. Did Barry ever think about that?
Yeah. The other thing I don't
Apparently
understand.
not.
The other thing I don't understand.
Oh, only one thing?
Is we literally see young Barry up in his bedroom,
Correct.
seeing his dad in the driveway at the moment his mom is killed.
Yes.
And somehow that is not enough of an alibi. I saw my dad outside.
Well, they do say in court that this is what his son has always claimed. I
Yes.
guess they don't believe kids.
Yeah, but, like I'm just like the son. Like how does that not create reasonable doubt in a jury's mind?
Right. No,
the kid literally looked outside and saw his dad at the moment the mom screamed.
Right. And yet, nobody saw any of the perpetrators.
Well, the perpetrator is supposedly Zoom.
Oh, that would make...
That's the whole...
And
like
why
that's
is Zoom doing this?
Oh, I don't know. It's just that Gunn has said that afterwards. I think, or someone said.
Oh well, as long as Gunn said it afterwards,
it's reverse
outside
flash.
the movie, then how can I argue?
It's
with
reverse
the movie
flash.
itself?
But there's nothing. I mean, it's the only thing that makes any sense. I'm like, how did nobody see?
Right.
I mean, it's always Zoom in the comics and in the TV show.
No, that's
so
true.
I was like, yeah, it's gonna be reverse flash.
Yeah.
But yeah, I literally I'm like, how is this a problem? He literally sees his dad getting out of the car.
Right. Yeah. I don't. Well, kids are made of Teflon.
I guess.
Because the jury was like, he can take it. He's only 8.
I don't understand. Like, I didn't understand that. Because, there is the line about, I was like, well, Barry's always said that. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
He has. Like, how did they not create reasonable doubt?
I don't know. So how do you feel about Zod coming back?
I feel about the same way as Michael Shannon that played Zod did.
Yes?
Oh, he said something. It was like he didn't really feel like they did much with the character. He was just
You don't think so?
He was basically just there to be an antagonist.
Talk
I'm
about
like,
being
yes.
tacked on.
Yeah.
There's just like... They're just like, this movie just feels totally cobbled together.
Yeah.
Like, here's a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and we'll just stuff it all together.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the Aquaman appearance. Because what's always funny? Drunk.
Yeah. Well,
I guess it's a bit that just, it's entirely funny because of drunk.
I don't know, because I couldn't
not-
understand what they were saying. Like, I'm like, what are they... Because apparently the whole gist of their conversation
Right.
is Barry saying that in all of his travels through the multiverse,
Yeah.
there's always a different Batman, but you are always Aquaman.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, okay. So is that saying that whatever we're getting in the new DCU, if there's an Aquaman, it's going to be Momoa?
I guess.
Or are we saying since the new DCU is something meant to be completely different, it can't be Momoa as Aquaman?
I feel like they're going to have to trash all of it.
Well, the rumor is that they want Momoa to play Lobo in the new DCU. That's been the
casting
new.
that makes
That's been the
sense.
new. Yeah, I mean that would work.
Although it's weird to me. I don't know. Like, you just watch it and anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like that scene
was-
was completely pointless.
And not funny.
No, it was not funny at all. I'm like, I don't,
funny.
I didn't follow what they were saying at all. And also, here's the other thing:
Yeah.
Aquaman and Flash were not that great of friends the last time we saw them together.
I can't remember the last time we saw them together.
No, they Flash and Cyborg were the ones that were like really buddy, but you can't have Cyborg because of course he's like been very critical of Jeff Johns and the DC people in general.
Boy, it's a mess.
So
On the screen, off
so
the
yeah,
screen.
like this sudden friendship with Aquaman, I'm like,
Huge
well,
mess.
that makes no sense.
All right, you have any other
I
complaints?
do have not a
Or
do I have other
observations?
complaints? Again, I think part of it too is that the film felt like it had a complete lack of stakes for any number of reasons. Like there was nothing that I cared about.
Once it's all spaghetti, it just diminishes the stakes further.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah,
I agree.
the
No, that's
multiverse.
true.
Yeah, I mean, why they couldn't have had like Reeves and Pattinson's Batman as one of the worlds? Like that just came out. People seem to like that. I don't
It seems weird.
know.
It's almost like people who are making better films don't want to
Yeah.
associate it.
So I do have this from
Yes.
that Ashley Aaron on Twitter.
Okay.
Quote, if you want Flashpoint told in a coherent way, watch the TV show. Fair or foul?
You know that's foul. That's so profoundly foul. Although only because they're both equally bad.
Are they equally bad?
I think so.
I don't know.
The TV show had a lot more time,
That's true.
but I don't think it does a much better job.
Yeah.
How about this? The Flash isn't a terrible film, just a forgettable one. There's nothing here we haven't seen before many times, and frankly done better.
Yeah.
To me, that's the ultimate sin of the Flash.
Yeah, like there's
Is
nothing.
that it is a paint by number superhero movie.
Yeah,
at
I
this
just don't
point.
understand how so many people like James Gunn, Gail Simone, and other people on Twitter
Yeah.
are like, it's fantastic. I'm like,
Well, I mean, James Gunn sort of has to.
Well, yeah, I
mean,
understand
Gail
that.
Simone is going to be
I guess, but like there's so
probably
many people
hard
like
to criticize DC if you're Gail Simone.
like you look at like I've looked at people on Twitter and it's like 50-50 between people who are like
Yeah.
Flash is excellent. I'm like this movie is garbage.
It's not very good.
It's
How
not
about-
good. Yeah.
So you'd agree with Christy Puchko of Mashable? Her review, the Flash review. It sucks.
Or I have this is from Too Gay to Lift on Twitter. Quote, The Flash is what would happen if you took the absolute worst parts of an orally terrible movie, then made an entirely movie of only that, and then doubled it.
That's not bad. That's pretty good criticism.
Yeah, it was just I
Here's somebody that felt better about it
Yeah,
at The
I just-
Independent. How do you feel about this?
oh god.
Muddled, poignant, and because of Ezra Miller, morally tricky.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there was. It's. I
It's-
do
it's-
agree. I did
it's a
feel
big
like you
dud.
must feel
Yes.
with the majority of superhero films watching this. It was like, oh, this is what Alan feels
Yeah,
like.
think about how many films I felt like this for.
Which is why I don't understand
Like,
why you
it's-
insisted we do this film
Okay.
for the podcast.
Yeah. Yes. I
You were like, I mean,
There-
I've been
there
trying to
is-
get us to do stuff like Asteroid City and whatnot for a while, and you're like, we have to do Flash.
have you seen Asteroid City?
I haven't, no.
Because I did.
I got to squeeze that in.
Yeah.
Except
So-
Indiana Jones came out this week, too.
Are we going to do Indiana Jones?
We probably should.
I guess we should. No? Zach, you're not a fan?
There's
or?
so many better movies I think you could do.
Well, I'm sure there are.
I feel confident. Although I did see the longer Barbie trailer, and I am really excited.
excited.
to
Oh, yeah,
see
I'm excited.
Barbie.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm excited
so
for
excited.
Barbie as well.
But the longer trailer made me even more.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen. I think I've seen.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm,
Like,
I'm,
it's-
yeah. I've seen the longer. I'm
really
intrigued.
excited.
It looks
I
really
saw Will
good.
Ferrell and I was like, "Yep, all right."
Yeah.
I had
Oh,
no
Barbie-
idea he was
Bar-
in the movie.
Barbie
until
in
he
the-
popped up there. I'm like, oh.
Barbie in the real world has some
That has some
potential.
I'm excited.
Well, and I feel like Greta Gerwig and Will Ferrell is just like a combination I
Yeah.
never really would have imagined.
Yeah.
Kind of collaborating, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I think
super
Barbie
excited.
has potential. I mean, it's going to be a difficult weekend seeing that and Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
because that's just kind of a bit
the-
of a whiplash.
The memes
that's
they have
producing.
created
Yes,
are like, really
beautiful,
good. Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. No, I mean Oppenheimer looks great too. And as you might know, Hope thinks Cillian Murphy is just like
oh, okay.
a super talented.
Oh yeah, he is.
actor.
He was great in
So-
Batman Begins.
I forgot that he was in
He was
Batman
Scarecrow.
Begins. Yeah, Hope was talking about that. I don't think that's his strongest stuff. But,
Again, it's
but Nolan
it's,
really likes
it's again
it,
as
so-
I talked about before. It's you can tell it's a Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah.
To the extent that Michael Caine or Cillian Murphy or like he uses the same people
yeah.
over and over. It's like, oh yeah, that's definitely like, if you've got 3 out of the 5, it's a decent chance it's a Nolan film.
So Hope has me watching Peaky Blinders.
oh yeah,
Catching
that,
up
yeah.
on Peaky Blinders,
Yeah.
and developing some appreciation for Cillian Murphy.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he'd be a good guest for the podcast.
I don't think we can get
You
him.
should know that he's a very serious guy.
Well, we are too.
None of our nonsense. You have to be a very serious.
The serious guy that played
highbrow.
Scarecrow in Batman Begins. Yeah.
Yeah. As a Christopher Nolan film, it's the only thing that saves that, probably. Yeah,
No.
Batman Begins is a difficult movie. I think. When I go back, I'm not a big like the Nolan stuff. I don't really ever want to go watch it again.
Well, you were such a big Dark Knight fan.
I've watched The Dark Knight a lot, but only because I wrote on it. But
I
yeah,
think-
I'm glad you finally have a sense of what it is to be me for the last 5 years.
I don't think it's the last 5
Did you give me
years.
my marching orders about what I? Well, when was the last superhero movie that I really
Across the
enjoyed?
Spider-Verse. It was like 3 weeks ago, dude.
Okay, besides but besides the cartoon,
It's like 3 weeks ago.
besides the cartoon, like let's march our way back through the MCU. What was the last MCU film?
No Way Home? You enjoyed No Way Home.
It was fine.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was great.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the high point.
Endgame? You liked Endgame?
Yeah.
Infinity War?
Yeah, those were fine. Yeah, they're no better than fine. They're good movies, but like that, those were a while ago now.
Oh, they are quite a while ago.
You know, like I'm just saying, like everything in between. You know, there's nothing that DC has done since Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
It has
no,
really
yeah,
made
no.
me say that was worth seeing.
No, you didn't watch Peacemaker on HBO,
No,
which you would have really enjoyed.
I don't think I would have.
Very much,
I'm
yeah.
pretty confident.
It's
Pretty confident I would not have. So,
So-
anyway, maybe you'll have a little more empathy for me now.
I have
moving
tons.
forward.
I'll remember that when I'm on an hour 3.5 of Oppenheimer.
You don't want to see Oppenheimer?
That feels I fear it's going to be a slog.
Oh, I'm sorry that you have to go see a 3-hour movie. How many
So
of
slog.
those have you subjected me to?
Just Endgame.
No, well, I guess they haven't all reached 3 hours.
Exactly.
But like they've been like 2
Exactly.
hours and 48 minutes.
No,
Close enough.
no.
All these superhero movies have run times that are way too long.
Yeah, well, yeah, they
Way too
they do.
long.
They should narrow them down.
So I think we're finally agreed. Post-peak superhero. It's going to be a summer of Asteroid City and Barbie
And Indiana Jones.
Oppenheimer, Secret Invasion.
Oh yeah, we got to talk
What
Secret
a
Invasion.
dreadful opening. I hope it gets better.
I'm sure it'll be fine in its treatment of refugees and migrants. Sure, it'll be sensitive and deep, and it definitely gives us something to talk about. There's something
It
else
won't teach us that all refugees and migrants are
Oh,
a lurking internal threat that we need to police.
we probably do need to see Elemental at some point. Because it seems like that's very much about immigration, even though it doesn't look like it from the
It's got
commercials.
very poor reviews.
It has.
Like I've not heard a lot of good. Like Pixar
Yeah.
seems to be scuffling.
It's going to be
along.
on Disney Plus soon enough, since it didn't
Right.
do great in the theater.
Right.
So
If
I
I can
feel
watch
like,
it on Disney Plus,
yeah,
I'll do it.
I think when it
But
pops
you
up
made
on
me-
Disney Plus,
Like I took Vicky to see The Flash, which by
That's
the way
just
was
mean.
not great for the marriage.
yeah,
right?
why did you?
know?
Why that was stupid.
So like that was like almost $20 you made me spend on that garbage.
I didn't make you. So you're the one that insisted we see it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Zach's been waiting to pull the plug on
All
this
right, so
episode
yeah,
for like 10
all right.
minutes.
Well, if I've never walked out on a movie,
Yeah.
I could have walked out on The Flash and not missed anything.